You are resting now. The night sky above you holds patterns older than memory, constellations arranged in shapes that humans have watched for thousands of years. The Zodiac, moving slowly across the heavens, each sign drifting through darkness, carrying stories, carrying quiet truths. Tonight, we will visit them, one by one, not to learn or to remember, but simply to rest alongside them, to let them pass through your awareness like clouds, soft and slow and asking nothing. Aries drifts at the edge of spring's beginning, the ram, they call it. 2,000 years ago, the sun entered Aries at the spring equinox. Now, because Earth's axis wobbles slowly over centuries, the alignment has shifted, but the pattern remains. The brightest star in Aries is Hamal, an orange giant, 66 light years away. It shines steadily. It has shined this way for longer than cities have existed. You do not need to see it. It continues without your watching. Taurus follows, carrying the weight of ancient stories. The bull. Within Taurus, a cluster of stars called the Pleiades. 7 sisters, some cultures name them, though more than 7 stars exist there. Hundreds of young blue stars born together. They are only 100 million years old. Young by the measure of stars, the cluster is slowly drifting. In another 100 million years, it will have moved. The pattern will change. But tonight, it rests where it has been. Gemini holds 2 bright stars, Castor and Pollux, the twins. Castor is not 1 star, but 6. 3 binary pairs bound by gravity, dancing around each other in patterns too slow to see in a human lifetime. Pollux is larger, older, an orange giant like Hamal, 34 light years away. It has a planet orbiting it, a world larger than Jupiter, circling in silence. No one will ever visit it. It exists, distant and untouchable. Cancer is faint. The crab. Between brighter constellations, it almost disappears. Its brightest star is barely visible without a telescope. But within Cancer, another cluster, Praecep, the beehive, 1,000 stars loosely gathered, 600 light years away. You cannot see them individually. They blur together into soft light, like fog, like breath on cold glass. The cluster is old. Its stars are cooling, slowly dimming over billions of years. Leo holds Regulus at its heart, the lion's heart, they called it. Regulus is bright, blue-white, spinning rapidly. It rotates so fast, it has flattened at its poles. The star is being pulled apart by its own speed. But this happens over timescales beyond imagining. For now, it shines. 79 light years away. The light you see from Regulus tonight left that star before you were born, before many things you remember existed. It traveled through empty space to reach your eyes, and continues past you into deeper darkness. Virgo is the largest constellation in the Zodiac, the maiden carrying wheat. Its brightest star is Spica, a blue giant, 250 light years distant. Spica is actually 2 stars orbiting each other every 4 days. They are so close they distort each other's shapes. Pulled into ovals by mutual gravity, they will eventually merge, becoming 1 star, or perhaps exploding. But not for millions of years. For now, they turn together in their ancient dance. Libra was once part of Scorpius, the claws of the scorpion. Later, it became the scales. Balance. Its stars are not particularly bright, but they exist, steady. 1 star in Libra, Gliese 581, has planets, multiple worlds orbiting in its habitable zone. Places where water could exist as liquid. We do not know if anything lives there. We likely never will. But the possibility rests there. Silent and distant, Scorpius holds Antares, the rival of Mars, ancient astronomers called it. Because of its red color, Antares is a red supergiant, so large that if placed where our sun is, it would extend past Mars's orbit. It is dying slowly, swelling and cooling as it exhausts its fuel. One day, it will explode. When it does, it will briefly outshine the full moon, visible even during the day. But that day has not come. Antares continues its long exhale, 550 light years away. Sagittarius points toward the center of our galaxy, the Archer. When you look at Sagittarius, you're looking toward the Milky Way's heart. Though you cannot see it, dust and gas block the view, but there, hidden behind veils of matter, a supermassive black hole rests, 4 million times the sun's mass. 26,000 light years away, it pulls everything nearby into slow orbits, stars circling, taking centuries to complete one lap. It is there, whether we see it or not, constant and patient. Capricornus is faint, like Cancer. The sea goat, a strange hybrid. Its brightest star is Deneb Algidi, which is actually 4 stars, appearing as one to the naked eye. 2 binary pairs far apart, but aligned in our view. Coincidence, not connection. They appear together only from our perspective. From elsewhere in the galaxy, they would be separate, scattered across different regions of sky. Perspective changes everything. What seems connected may be distant. What seems single may be many. Aquarius, the water bearer, pouring from an endless vessel. Within Aquarius, a planetary nebula called the Helix, the Eye of God, some have called it, a star that died and shed its outer layers, leaving a white dwarf at its center. The expanding shell of gas creates a ring shape, 700 light years across space. It is beautiful in photographs, but to the naked eye, it barely registers. A faint smudge, nothing more, yet it exists, enormous and ancient. The remnant of a star that once was. Pisces completes the circle. The fish swimming in opposite directions, 2 fish eternally bound but pulling apart. Pisces contains no bright stars. It is faint, spread across a large area of sky, easy to overlook. But within its boundaries, galaxies, countless distant galaxies far beyond our own, each containing billions of stars, each a universe unto itself. They appear as faint smudges through telescopes, unremarkable, unless you know what you are seeing. Entire worlds, entire histories, all compressed into dim points of light. The Zodiac is a human invention, patterns we saw and named, but the stars themselves do not form these shapes. They are scattered through 3-dimensional space, some near, some unimaginably far. What appears as a line connecting stars is only our perspective. From another vantage point, the constellations would not exist. The patterns would dissolve. The stars would be unrelated points, scattered randomly. And yet, for us, the patterns persist, because we are here, seeing them this way, because we have always been here, looking up, arranging the chaos into meaning. The Zodiac moves across the sky because Earth turns. 1 rotation every 24 hours. We spin beneath the stars. They appear to wheel overhead, rising in the east, setting in the west. But they are not moving. We are, always turning, always moving, while the stars remain fixed. Well, not fixed exactly. They move too, drifting through the galaxy, but so slowly that a human lifetime is too brief to notice. The constellations our ancestors saw are the same we see tonight. the same our descendants will see for thousands of years, until eventually, slowly, the patterns change. Stars drift apart. New arrangements form. The zodiac we know will eventually disappear, but not yet. Not for a long time. The spring equinox used to occur when the sun entered Aries. This was true 2,000 years ago, but Earth's axis wobbles. A slow precession, taking 26,000 years to complete one cycle. Because of this wobble, the zodiac has shifted. The spring equinox now occurs in Pisces, not Aries. The constellations have moved backward through the calendar. Or rather, we have moved. Our perspective has shifted, but the names remain. We still call the 12 divisions of the zodiac by their ancient names, even though they no longer align with the actual constellations. Tradition persists, even as the cosmos shifts. When you look up at night and see these patterns, you're seeing light that left those stars long ago. Some stars are 40 light years away. Their light left them 40 years ago. Some are 400 light years away. Their light is 400 years old. You are seeing the past, always the past, never the present. The star you see might have changed, dimmed, brightened, moved, or ceased to exist entirely, exploded and scattered into gas, but its light continues traveling, reaching you now, tonight, long after the star itself has transformed. This is what you see when you look at the zodiac. Ancient light, old stories, things that were still arriving. There is no magic in the zodiac. The stars do not govern our lives. They do not determine personality or fate. They are simply burning spheres of gas, fusion reactions converting hydrogen to helium, releasing energy that travels through space. This is what they are. But this does not make them less extraordinary. They are distant suns, each one a furnace of creation, forging elements that did not exist when the universe began. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, the building blocks of planets, the ingredients of life, all created in stellar cores, then scattered through space when stars die, so that new stars, new planets, new possibilities can form. We are made of star material, literally. Every atom in your body was forged in a star, then expelled into space, then gathered into clouds, then collapsed into the sun and planets, then assembled into rocks, water, life. Into you. You are recycled starlight, temporarily arranged in this particular pattern. Eventually, you will return to the cycle. Your atoms will scatter. They will become other things. The universe wastes nothing. But tonight, you are here, aware of the zodiac, aware of the stars, aware of the vast distances and timescales, aware of your own smallness, which is also a kind of largeness. Because you can understand this, you can look up and comprehend what you are seeing. Light from distant suns, patterns in the darkness, the slow turning of everything. This is a gift, to be here, to be aware, to rest beneath the same stars that have been watched for thousands of years, by people who are gone, by people who will come. All of us, brief visitors, all of us looking up. Aries continues its drift. Taurus holds its cluster of stars. Gemini's 6 stars turn around each other. Cancer's faint light barely reaches us. Leo's Regulus spins at the edge of tearing itself apart. Virgo's Spica orbits its companion. Libra holds its distant planets. Scorpius's Antares slowly dies. Sagittarius points toward the galaxy's heart. Capricornus aligns its unrelated stars. Aquarius contains its nebula, its dying star's shell. Pisces holds its distant galaxies. All of it continues, whether we watch or not, whether we name it or not. The cosmos does not need our attention, but we give it anyway because we are curious, because we wonder, because looking up reminds us of something important, that we are small, that we are temporary, that we are part of something larger. The zodiac is 12 patterns in the sky, old names for old shapes. They move across the night as Earth turns. They shift through the year as Earth orbits the sun. They slowly drift through the centuries as our axis wobbles. But they remain a connection to ancient observers who saw the same lights we see, who wondered about the same vast distances, who created stories to make sense of the patterns. The stories have changed, the meanings have shifted, but the stars remain, burning, distant, indifferent to our interpretations, yet somehow comforting, because they are there, because they have always been there, because they will continue after we are gone. You do not need to do anything with this knowledge. You do not need to remember the names. You do not need to find the patterns in the sky. This is not information to be used. It is simply something to rest inside. The knowledge that above you, the cosmos continues. Stars burning, planets orbiting, galaxies turning, all of it happening whether you watch or not. All of it indifferent to your thoughts. All of it impossibly old and impossibly large. And you here, small and brief, but aware, capable of understanding at least a little, capable of wonder, capable of rest. The zodiac drifts overhead: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, Pisces. 12 names for 12 regions, 12 patterns humans saw and remembered. They move across the night sky. They mark the sun's path through the year. They continue regardless, ancient and patient, burning in the darkness, waiting for nothing, simply being, simply existing, as they have, as they will, long after these names are forgotten, long after anyone remains to look up and wonder. Tonight, they are there, above you, scattered across the dome of night. You cannot see them all at once. Some are below the horizon, some are washed out by moonlight or city glow, but they exist, whether visible or not. The zodiac completes its circle, always. The stars burn, the patterns persist, and you rest beneath them, small and temporary, but here, now, beneath the same sky that has covered everything, always, forever, until the stars themselves finally dim and the darkness returns, and even the patterns dissolve. But not tonight. Tonight, they remain, and so do you, resting beneath the slowly turning heavens, where the zodiac drifts, as it always has, as it always will, for now. The light from these stars has traveled so far to reach you. Photons, released from stellar surfaces, traveling at 300,000 kilometers per second, which seems fast, which is fast. But space is so vast that even light takes years to cross it, decades, centuries, millennia. The light from Aries left that star 550 years ago. When it began its journey, the world was different. Empires that existed then have fallen. Languages spoken then are silent now. But the light continued through empty space, undisturbed by anything, until tonight, when it reached your eyes, a photon's journey, ending, one of trillions that left that star. Most continue past Earth, into deeper space, never intercepted by anything, traveling forever through the darkness. But a few reach us, and we see. Between the stars there is mostly nothing, vacuum, emptiness, occasionally a molecule of hydrogen, perhaps one atom per cubic centimeter, in some places less. in others clouds of gas and dust. But even these are thin beyond imagining. What we call dense nebulae are emptier than any vacuum we can create on Earth. The space between stars is absence, distance without feature, darkness without marker. Light travels through this emptiness, unimpeded, for years, for centuries, and arrives finally, arriving here, where you rest. Some of the Zodiac stars are young, the Pleiades, barely 100 million years old. Others are ancient, formed when the galaxy was young, 10 billion years old or more. Stars have lifespans that dwarf civilizations. Our sun is middle-aged at 4.5 billion years. It will continue burning for another 5 billion, long after Earth's surface has become uninhabitable, long after everything we know has ended. The stars in the Zodiac will outlive us. Most of them. Some will die first. And Aries will explode within the next million years, perhaps much sooner. When it does, it will shine brighter than anything in the night sky except the moon for weeks or months. Then it will fade, and a new nebula will begin expanding, where Antares was. But this has not happened yet. Tonight, Antares still burns, still shines its red light, still holds its place in Scorpius. The Zodiac exists in a band across the sky, the ecliptic, astronomers call it, the plane of Earth's orbit around the sun. The planets also orbit in this plane, more or less. So when you see Mars or Jupiter in the night sky, they appear within the Zodiac, moving through Taurus or Leo or Sagittarius. Ancient observers noticed this, the wandering stars they called the planets, because unlike the fixed stars, planets move slowly, night by night, shifting position against the background constellations. This movement fascinated ancient astronomers. They tracked it carefully, created models to predict where planets would appear. Some models were wrong but useful. Others were closer to truth. Eventually we understood. The planets orbit the sun. We orbit the sun. All of us moving through space together, the solar system, traveling through the galaxy, orbiting the galactic center, taking 230 million years to complete one orbit. We have made only 20 such orbits since Earth formed. 20 galactic years. We are young by this measure. The galaxy itself is a spiral. 200 billion stars, perhaps more, arranged in curved arms, rotating slowly. From our position within one of the arms, we see the Milky Way, a band of light across the night sky. What appears as a luminous cloud is actually billions of distant stars, too far away to distinguish individually, blurred together by distance. The Milky Way is brightest in Sagittarius, because that direction points toward the galactic center, where stars are most dense, where the supermassive black hole resides, pulling everything into orbit around it. We orbit it too, our sun, our solar system, all of us, circling the center, moving at 800,000 kilometers per hour, which sounds fast. But space is so vast that we barely seem to move. The constellations remain fixed throughout human history, because even moving this fast, we do not travel far enough in centuries for the perspective to change noticeably. Other galaxies exist beyond ours, billions of them, scattered through space. The nearest large galaxy is Andromeda, 2.5 million light-years away. You can see it on a clear night, a faint smudge, unremarkable unless you know what it is. An entire galaxy, 1 trillion stars, each with the potential for planets. Some of those planets may harbor life. We do not know. We have no way to know. The distance is too great. Even light takes 2.5 million years to cross it. Any signal we sent would take that long to arrive. Any reply would take that long to return. 5 million years for a conversation, longer than humans have existed. So we remain isolated, alone in our galaxy, looking out at others, knowing they exist, unable to reach them. Andromeda is approaching us, slowly. The Milky Way and Andromeda are gravitationally bound, falling toward each other. In about 4 billion years, they will collide, not a violent collision. Galaxies are mostly empty space. Stars will pass between each other. Very few, if any, will actually collide. But the galaxies will merge, their shapes disrupted, their spiral arms torn apart by tidal forces. Eventually they will settle into a new shape, an elliptical galaxy, larger than either Milky Way or Andromeda. A new galaxy formed from 2 old ones. By then, the sun will be dying, swelling into a red giant, consuming Earth. If anything lives here, then it will have long since left, or perished. The merger will reshape the night sky, if anyone is here to see it. The constellations will be unrecognizable. New patterns, new arrangements. The Zodiac long gone. But that is far in the future, 4 billion years. Tonight, the galaxies are still separate, still approaching, but still distinct. The universe is expanding. This was discovered less than a century ago. Edwin Hubble, observing distant galaxies, measuring their light, noticing that light from distant galaxies was shifted toward red wavelengths. This redshift indicated motion away from us. The farther the galaxy, the faster it receded. This meant space itself was expanding, carrying galaxies apart. Like raisins in rising bread, everything moving away from everything else. Not because galaxies are flying through space, but because space itself is growing. This expansion began 13.8 billion years ago, in what we call the Big Bang, not an explosion in space, but an expansion of a space from a hot, dense state to the vast, cool cosmos we see today. The expansion continues, accelerating in fact, driven by something we call dark energy, which we do not understand, but we can measure its effects. The universe is expanding faster now than it was billions of years ago, and the acceleration is increasing. Eventually, billions of years from now, distant galaxies will recede so fast that their light can never reach us. The observable universe will shrink until only our local group of galaxies remains visible. Everything else will have disappeared beyond an unreachable horizon. Future observers, if they exist, will see a much emptier universe than we do. They will not see the cosmic microwave background. They will not see distant galaxies. They may not even realize the universe is expanding. We live in a special time when the universe is old enough to have formed stars and planets and life, but young enough that we can still see its history. We can observe the cosmic microwave background, light from when the universe was 380,000 years old. We can see distant galaxies as they were billions of years ago. We can piece together the story of how everything came to be. This window will not remain open forever. The cosmic microwave background fills all of space. Radiation left over from the Big Bang, when the universe was hot and dense. A plasma of electrons and nuclei, opaque to light. Then, as the universe expanded and cooled, electrons and nuclei combined into atoms. Suddenly, light could travel freely. That light has been traveling ever since, stretched by the universe's expansion, from visible and infrared light to microwave radiation. We detect it as a faint glow coming from every direction, very uniform, the same temperature everywhere, 2.7 degrees above absolute zero, with tiny variations, 1 part in 100,000. These tiny variations are important. They represent density fluctuations in the early universe, seeds that grew into galaxies and clusters, the lumpy structure we see today. Everything came from those tiny variations. Your body is made of atoms: hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, calcium, iron, phosphorus. These atoms were created in stars. Hydrogen came from the Big Bang, the universe's first element. But everything heavier was forged in stellar cores, or in supernovae. Carbon is created when helium nuclei fuse in aging stars. Oxygen forms in more massive stars. Iron is created in the cores of the most massive stars just before they explode. Elements heavier than iron are created in the explosions themselves, in supernovae and neutron star collisions, when conditions become extreme enough to forge gold, platinum, uranium. All of this happened in stars that died long ago, before the sun existed, before Earth existed. Those stars exploded, scattering their elements into space. The material gathered into clouds, clouds that collapsed to form new stars. Our sun is one such star, third generation perhaps, or later, made partly from the remnants of earlier stars. The planets formed from leftover material. Rocky planets like Earth formed from heavy elements. Silicon, iron, magnesium, oxygen, all created in ancient stars. You're built from this material. Stardust, literally. Every atom in your body, forged in a stellar core, scattered in an explosion, gathered into a cloud, condensed into the sun and planets, assembled into rocks, water, minerals, taken up by living things, passed through ecosystems, until finally arranged into you, temporarily. One day, those atoms will return to the cycle, back to the Earth, eventually perhaps back to space, to form new stars, new planets. The universe recycles everything. Nothing is truly lost, only transformed. This is what you are part of, this vast ancient process. Stars burning, dying, scattering their contents. New stars forming from the debris. Planets coalescing. Life emerging, looking up at the stars that created it. There is a symmetry here. We are the universe observing itself, made of star material, arranged in a way that can understand stars, can measure their distances, can comprehend their life cycles, can trace our own origins back to them. This is extraordinary and also ordinary, because here we are. It happened. It is happening. You are here, aware, resting beneath stars that are, in a sense, your ancestors, the furnaces that created the elements you're made from. The Zodiac is still there, still drifting across the night. Aries with its orange giant star, Taurus with its young cluster, Gemini with its multiple stars, Cancer, faint but present, Leo and its rapidly spinning heart, Virgo stretching across a large portion of sky, Libra with its distant, potentially habitable planets, Scorpius and its dying red supergiant, Sagittarius pointing toward the galactic center, Capricornus with its coincidentally aligned stars, Aquarius holding the remnant of a dead star, Pisces with its distant galaxies. All of it continues. The patterns we have watched for millennia, the same stars, the same light, older than anything human, older than Earth itself, some of them. There is no purpose to any of this. The stars do not burn for us. The galaxies do not arrange themselves for our viewing. The universe does not care if we observe it or understand it. It simply is, existing according to physical laws. Gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, cause and effect, action and reaction, energy and entropy, the whole thing unfolding without intention, without goal, just process, just happening, and we happen to be here, part of it, able to see it, able to understand fragments of it. This is neither special nor meaningless. It simply is what it is. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to remember the distances, the names of stars, the compositions of nebulae. This is not a lesson. There is nothing to learn, nothing to retain, just something to rest inside. The knowledge that you are part of something vast, connected to stars through the atoms in your body, connected to the cosmos through your presence in it. You are here. The stars are there, both existing, both temporary, both part of the same unfolding. Time moves differently for stars. 1,000,000 years is brief. 1,000,000,000 years is a significant portion of a star's life, but still comprehensible. Stars are born, live, die, on timescales that dwarf human experience. But they are finite. They have beginnings and ends. The universe itself may have an end, or it may expand forever, becoming colder, emptier, until even black holes evaporate, and nothing remains but extremely low energy particles scattered across unimaginable distances. This heat death would come after countless trillions of years, so far in the future that the number is meaningless. By then, stars will have burned out, galaxies will have dispersed. Everything we see will be gone. Only the most long-lived remnants will remain, and eventually, even those will fade. The universe reaching a state of maximum entropy where nothing can happen anymore, because there is no energy difference anywhere, everything at the same minimum temperature, motionless, silent. But this is so far away. Tonight, the universe is still young, stars still burn, galaxies still turn, life still exists. You are here in the active phase, when things still happen, when the cosmos is still interesting. The zodiac will be visible for millions of years yet. The patterns will slowly change as stars move through the galaxy, as our perspective shifts. But the change is gradual, imperceptible in a human lifetime. Your descendants, thousands of generations from now, will see nearly the same constellations, the same zodiac, though the meanings may change. The stories we tell about the patterns. Every culture sees different shapes, different stories. The stars do not care what we call them, what shapes we imagine. They simply shine, and we observe and create meaning. Because that is what we do. We are pattern seekers, meaning makers. We look at random arrangements and see shapes. We connect stars that are not connected, that exist at wildly different distances, and we call them constellations. We tell stories about them. We use them to mark time, to navigate, to wonder. This is human. This is what we bring to the cosmos. Not physical significance, but awareness, interpretation, story. Above you, the stars continue, burning their fuel, radiating light, slowly evolving through their life cycles, some growing brighter, some dimming, some swelling into giants, some collapsing into dense remnants. All of it happening, whether observed or not. The universe does not require witnesses, but it has one in you, tonight, lying here, aware of the vast distances, aware of the deep time, aware of your own smallness and your own participation. There is nothing you need to do with this awareness, no action required, no response needed. Just rest. Let the knowledge settle. Let the immensity wash over you without demanding comprehension. You are small, you are brief, you are made of ancient materials. You are part of a cosmos that extends in all directions, farther than you can imagine, older than you can grasp. And you are here, now, in this moment, under these stars, part of everything, for a little while. The zodiac turns overhead, following the same path it has followed forever. The ecliptic, the plane of our solar system's disk, the path the sun takes through the constellations, the path the planets follow, ancient and predictable. We have mapped it, we have measured it, we understand the mechanics, why it moves as it does, why the patterns appear and disappear with the seasons. But understanding does not diminish wonder. Knowing how something works does not make it less extraordinary. The stars still burn, the distances are still vast, the timescales still dwarf our lives. Knowledge and awe can coexist. Understanding and mystery can coexist. We know much, we know so little. Both are true. In the darkness between the stars, in the vast emptiness, light travels. Photons released from stellar surfaces, most traveling forever through empty space, never encountering anything, but some reach eyes, reach planets, reach detectors, and we receive these messengers, these travelers from distant suns, and we learn about temperature, about composition, about motion and distance and age, all from light, all from these tiny packets of energy that journeyed across space to reach us, to end their journey in our awareness. Tonight is one night among countless nights. The stars have shined on countless beings, human and non-human, aware and unaware. They have shined on empty landscapes, on oceans before life emerged, on dinosaurs that could not comprehend them, on early humans who wondered what they were, on all of us. And they will shine long after, on whoever or whatever comes next, or on nothing at all. If we are gone and nothing replaces us, the stars will continue, indifferent, patient, eternal, almost, though not truly eternal. Even stars end, but not yet, not tonight. You can rest now. Let the zodiac turn without your watching. Let the stars burn without your attention. They do not need you, and you do not need to do anything. Just be here. Just rest. The cosmos continues around you, vast and ancient and ongoing. You're a small part of it, a brief moment of awareness in an otherwise unconscious universe. This is enough. This is everything. To be here, to rest, to let go. The stars will be there tomorrow. The zodiac will complete its circle. The universe will continue its expansion. None of it requires your participation. You are free to rest, to sleep, to drift. Like the zodiac drifts through space, like the galaxies drift through the cosmos, like everything drifts, slowly, inevitably, toward whatever comes next. Aries continues, Taurus continues, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, Pisces. The circle completes and begins again, rising, crossing the sky, setting, day after day, night after night, year after year, century after century. The same patterns, the same stars, burning in the darkness while you rest, while you sleep, while you drift into whatever dreams may come, or into dreamless sleep. Either way, the stars continue, the zodiac drifts, and you rest beneath it all, small and safe, temporary and present, part of everything for now. You are resting somewhere quiet, and above you, so far above that distance has no meaning anymore. The zodiac signs are drifting through space, and they have always been drifting, and they will continue drifting whether you are watching or not. Aries is there, a small constellation of stars that happen to gather in a shape that someone once called a ram, though the stars themselves know nothing of rams, nothing of names, and they simply exist in the dark, held by gravity, moving so slowly through space that their movement cannot be measured in a single lifetime. The stars of Aries are separated by distances you cannot picture, distances so vast that light itself takes years to cross from one star to another within the same constellation. And yet, from where you are resting, they appear close together, a pattern, something familiar. 4 main stars form the visible shape, though there are dimmer stars scattered around them, stars you would need a telescope to see. Stars that are there anyway, glowing quietly, going about their existence without any need to be noticed. The brightest star in Aries is called Hamal, though it does not call itself anything, and it is an orange giant, cooler than our sun, but much larger, and it has been burning for billions of years, and it will continue burning for billions more. And right now, in this moment, it is simply there, existing, radiating light that left its surface decades ago and is only now arriving at Earth. Light that you could see if you looked up, though you do not need to look up. You are resting, and the stars are resting too in their own way, even as they move through space. Even as they burn, there is something restful in their steadiness, in the way they have been doing this for so long that urgency has no place among them. Taurus is nearby in the sky, not near in any physical sense, but near from your perspective, a collection of stars that someone decided looked like a bull, though the stars themselves have never seen a bull, have never seen anything at all, and they simply shine because that is what stars do when they have enough mass and enough heat. The Pleiades are part of Taurus, a small cluster of stars that are actually close to each other in space, not just from your viewpoint, a family of stars born from the same cloud of gas and dust, siblings drifting together through the galaxy. And there are hundreds of stars in the cluster, though from Earth you might see 6 or 7 without a telescope. And they are young stars, as stars go, only about 100 million years old, which is very young for a star. Aldebaran is the brightest star in Taurus, an orange giant like Hamal, and it marks the eye of the bull in the stories people tell, though Aldebaran is simply existing, cooling slowly as it ages, expanding gradually as its core runs through its fuel. And this expansion is happening so slowly that nothing about the star would look different from one human lifetime to the next. The stars do not hurry. They do not need to arrive anywhere. You are resting, breathing without thinking about breathing, and somewhere in your awareness, the zodiac signs continue their slow drift, not moving toward anything, not moving away from anything, simply being moved by the gentle gravity of the galaxy, the way everything in the galaxy is moved, all together, in a rotation so vast and so slow that it takes 200 million years to complete one turn. Gemini appears as 2 bright stars side by side, Castor and Pollux, and ancient people saw them as twins, though the stars themselves are not twins, not related, not even the same kind of star. Pollux is closer to Earth, an orange giant in the late stages of its life, calm and steady, burning its fuel slowly now. Castor is farther away and is not one star, but 6 stars, 3 pairs of binary stars orbiting each other, all 6 stars gravitationally bound together in a system so complex that it would take careful observation to understand it. Though from where you rest, Castor appears as a single point of light, and that is enough. The light from Castor that reaches your eyes tonight, if you were looking, left those stars 51 years ago, when the people who are now adults were not yet born, and the light has been traveling all that time through empty space, through the dark, patient, and steady, arriving now. You do not need to think about this. It is simply happening. The way your breath is simply happening, the way your body is resting without effort, the way the stars are shining without effort, because it is their nature. Cancer is a dim constellation, easy to miss, a scattering of stars that form a shape someone once called a crab, though the shape is not obvious, and the stars are faint. And there is nothing urgent about Cancer, nothing demanding your attention. At the heart of Cancer is a cluster called the Beehive, a collection of about 1,000 stars gathered together, another family born from the same cloud of gas, and they are older than the Pleiades, but still young, about 600 million years old, and they are drifting together through space, held by their mutual gravity, a small community of stars that will eventually drift apart over billions of years. But for now, they are together. The Beehive cluster is faint, barely visible without a telescope, and it has been there all along, every night, whether noticed or not, a quiet presence in the sky. You are here, resting, and the stars are there, existing, and there is no need for anything to change, no need for anything to happen. Leo is one of the easier constellations to recognize, a pattern that does suggest the shape of a lion, or at least a large cat, with a bright star called Regulus at the heart. And Regulus is a young star, hot and blue-white, spinning rapidly, so rapidly that it has flattened slightly at its poles, though this flattening is something you could only detect with precise instruments. And from here, Regulus appears simply as a bright point, steady in the dark. Leo contains several galaxies very far away, far beyond the stars of the constellation itself, galaxies that you can only see with a powerful telescope, entire galaxies full of billions of stars, and they are moving away from us as the universe expands. And this expansion is so slow and so vast that it does not concern you, does not concern your rest. And the galaxies drift in the dark as everything drifts. Virgo is the largest constellation in the Zodiac, a sprawling collection of faint stars that form a shape someone called a maiden, though the shape is abstract, more felt than seen, and Virgo contains a region called the Virgo cluster, a vast collection of thousands of galaxies, all held together by gravity. And this cluster is the heart of an even larger structure called the Virgo supercluster, which contains our own Milky Way galaxy, along with thousands of other galaxies. But these structures are so large and so far away that they feel less like places and more like ideas, patterns drawn on the dark. And they do not ask for your attention, do not require your understanding. The brightest star in Virgo is Spica, a blue giant, hot and luminous. And it is actually two stars orbiting each other so closely that they cannot be separated visually. They appear as one, and they circle each other every 4 days, locked in their dance, and this has been happening for millions of years, and it will continue for millions more. The stars in Spica are so close to each other that their gravity distorts their shapes, pulling them slightly toward each other, making them egg-shaped rather than spherical. Though this distortion is subtle, and from where you rest, light years away, they appear simply as a single bright point, and that is all they need to be. Libra is dim, a constellation of faint stars that was once considered part of Scorpius, the claws of the scorpion, before it was separated and given its own identity as scales, a balance. Though the stars themselves have no opinion on this, no awareness of the shapes people draw between them. The brightest star in Libra is Zubanelganubi, a name that means, quote, zero, quote, in Arabic, a remnant of the constellation's former identity. And Zubanelganubi is not one star, but two stars visible to the naked eye. And each of those stars is itself a binary system. So Zubanelganubi is actually 4 stars, 2 pairs, and they are all gravitationally connected, orbiting a common center of mass over thousands of years, a slow, vast orbit that you could never observe in a single lifetime. Everything in space is moving, and yet everything in space appears still because the movements are so slow, the distance is so vast, and this stillness is not the absence of movement, but the presence of a pace so patient that it erases any sense of hurry. You are breathing, and the breath is not something you are doing, but something that is happening, gentle and steady, and your body is resting, held by the surface beneath you. And you do not need to hold yourself. Scorpius is one of the constellations that actually resembles its name, a curve of bright stars that does suggest a scorpion, with a bright red star called Antares at its heart. And Antares is a red supergiant, one of the largest stars visible to the naked eye, so large that if it were placed at the center of our solar system, its surface would extend beyond the orbit of Mars. Antares is nearing the end of its life, at least as stars measure such things, and it will eventually explode as a supernova, though eventually might mean tomorrow, or might mean 1,000,000 years from now. And from here, from where you rest, Antares appears simply as a red point of light, steady, ancient, glowing. The name Antares means rival of Mars because of its red color, similar to the planet Mars. Though Antares is not a planet, but a sun far larger than our sun, far older, and it is surrounded by a faint nebula, a cloud of gas that it has shed over millions of years. And this gas glows faintly in the light from the star, and the whole system is drifting through space as the galaxy rotates, as everything rotates. Near Antares, there are star clusters, collections of hundreds of stars born together, and they are visible through binoculars or small telescopes, scattered like dust near the scorpion's tail. Though from where you rest, they are invisible, simply there, existing whether seen or not. Sagittarius is rich in stars aimed toward the center of the galaxy, and when you look at Sagittarius, you're looking toward the heart of the Milky Way, though the center itself is hidden behind vast clouds of dust, and the stars of Sagittarius form a shape that some see as a centaur drawing a bow, though others see a teapot, and the stars themselves form whatever shape your mind decides to see, or no shape at all. At the center of our galaxy, hidden behind the dust, there is a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of our sun, and it is not consuming everything, not pulling everything in, but simply sitting there quietly, as stars orbit around it at tremendous speeds, though those speeds are only tremendous when measured, and from this distance, everything appears still. The Milky Way is visible from dark places, a band of light across the sky, And that band is made of billions of stars, so many stars that they blur together into a glow. And you are inside this galaxy, one of those billions of stars lighting the sky. And the sun you orbit is one small point in that vast collection. And the galaxy is rotating, and you are rotating with it. Though you feel no motion, only rest. Sagittarius contains nebulae, clouds of gas and dust where new stars are being born, regions like the Lagoon Nebula and the Omega Nebula, vast clouds lit from within by the light of young stars, and these clouds are enormous, dozens of light years across, but from Earth, they appear as small, faint patches, and you need a telescope to see them clearly, though they're there anyway, birthing stars, a slow process that takes millions of years from start to finish. Capricornus is faint, one of the dimmest constellations in the Zodiac, a scattering of stars that someone decided looked like a goat with a fish's tail, a strange hybrid that exists only in stories. And the stars themselves are far apart, not physically connected, simply aligned from your perspective. The brightest star in Capricornus is Delta Capricorni, and it is actually a system of 4 stars, though only one is easily visible, and this system is about 39 light years away, close by the standards of stars. And the light you see from Delta Capricorni tonight left that star before you were born, perhaps, or when you were young, and it has been traveling all this time, crossing the space between there and here. Capricornus contains a globular cluster, a spherical collection of hundreds of thousands of very old stars, stars that formed when the galaxy itself was young, over 10 billion years ago. And these stars are metal poor, made mostly of hydrogen and helium, because they were born before the galaxy had been enriched by the heavy elements created in earlier generations of stars. This cluster is called M30, and it is faint, barely visible through a small telescope, but it is there, a dense ball of ancient stars all orbiting the center of the Milky Way together, a remnant from the early universe. You do not need to picture any of this. It is simply information, like the feeling of the surface beneath you, like the awareness that you are breathing, details that exist without requiring anything from you. Aquarius is another dim constellation, a long, sprawling pattern of faint stars that was seen as a figure pouring water, though the stars themselves do not pour anything, do not move in any way that suggests action, and they simply exist in their positions, drifting slowly through space as the galaxy carries them. The brightest star in Aquarius is Saddle Sud, a yellow supergiant, cooler than our sun, but much, much larger, and it is old, nearing the end of its stable life, beginning the process of shedding its outer layers. Though this process will take millions of years, and from moment to moment, nothing appears to change. Aquarius contains a planetary nebula called the Helix Nebula, one of the closest planetary nebulae to Earth. And it is the remnant of a star that has died, or rather, a star that has finished its main life and shed its outer layers, leaving behind a small, hot core called a white dwarf. The Helix Nebula looks like a giant eye when viewed through a telescope, a ring of glowing gas expanding slowly into space, and the gas is glowing because it is being energized by ultraviolet light from the white dwarf at the center. And this glow will continue for thousands of years before the gas disperses and fades, becoming part of the interstellar medium, the thin gas that fills the space between stars. This is how stars return their material to the galaxy. enriching the gas from which future stars will form, a cycle that has been repeating for billions of years. And it is not a hurried cycle, not an urgent process, but something that unfolds at its own pace, patient and inevitable. Pisces is the faintest constellation in the zodiac, a scattered collection of dim stars forming a shape that was seen as two fish tied together by a cord. Though seeing this shape requires imagination, and the stars do not insist on being seen as anything. The brightest star in Pisces is Eta Piscium, and it is a bright giant, yellow-white, about 294 light-years away, and it has been shining steadily for millions of years, and it will continue to shine for millions more. And its light is reaching you now, light that left that star before humans had cities, before humans had writing, light that has been traveling through space all this time, patient and steady. Pisces contains a spiral galaxy called M74, seen face-on from Earth, a perfect spiral of stars and gas about 30 million light-years away. And this galaxy contains about 100 billion stars, and it is rotating slowly, and the stars within it are orbiting the galactic center, and none of this is visible to the naked eye. But it is there, another island of stars in the vast dark. The zodiac signs are all situated along the ecliptic, the path the sun appears to follow through the sky over the course of a year. And this path is actually the plane of Earth's orbit around the sun, and the constellations along this path are the ones the sun appears to pass through. As Earth moves, though the sun is not actually moving through those constellations, but simply appearing in front of them from our perspective. The stars of the zodiac are not special stars, not different from other stars. They are simply the stars that happen to be located along this path, and they have been given significance by people, by cultures that looked up and tried to find meaning, tried to find patterns. And the patterns are there, drawn by human minds. And the stars continue their existence regardless of whether anyone is looking, regardless of whether anyone is finding meaning. You are resting, and you do not need to find meaning, do not need to understand. And the stars are there, and you are here. And both things are true without requiring anything further. The constellations appear to rotate across the sky each night because Earth is rotating, turning on its axis. And this rotation makes it seem like the stars are moving, rising in the east, setting in the west. Though the stars are relatively still, and it is you who are moving, turning with the Earth, though you feel no motion. Earth completes one rotation every 24 hours, and during that time, the sky appears to turn, the constellations appear to move, and this has been happening every day since Earth formed. Billions of years of rotation, and it will continue for billions more years until the sun exhausts its fuel and expands. And even then, even after the sun has become a white dwarf and the Earth is gone, the stars of the zodiac will still be there, mostly unchanged, because stars live so much longer than planets. The zodiac constellations also shift their positions in the sky over the course of the year because Earth is orbiting the sun. And as Earth moves, different constellations become visible at night, the ones opposite the sun in the sky. And this cycle repeats every year, the same constellations returning at the same times, a rhythm that has been reliable for as long as humans have been watching. But the stars themselves are also moving very slowly through space, each star on its own orbit around the galactic center. And over thousands of years, the shapes of the constellations change slightly. The patterns distort because the stars are not fixed to each other, not connected except by our perception. And eventually, over tens of thousands of years, the constellations will look different. The shapes will be unrecognizable, though the stars themselves will still be there, simply rearranged from our perspective. This movement is called proper motion, the motion of stars across the sky relative to distant background objects. And it is very slow, measurable only with precise instruments over many years. And it reminds us that even things that seem permanent are slowly changing, though the change is so slow that it does not disturb the sense of stillness, the sense of endurance. Aries contains a galaxy called NGC 772, a spiral galaxy about 130 million light-years away, and it is distorted, pulled into an asymmetric shape by the gravity of a smaller companion galaxy. And this distortion has been happening for millions of years, and it will continue for millions more, and the two galaxies may eventually merge, becoming one larger galaxy, though this process will take hundreds of millions of years. And from Earth, both galaxies appear as faint, fuzzy patches, barely visible even through a large telescope. Taurus contains the Crab Nebula, the remnant of a supernova that was observed by Chinese astronomers in the year 1054, a star that exploded and was bright enough to be visible during the day for several weeks. And now, nearly 1,000 years later, the nebula is still expanding, still glowing, and at its center is a pulsar, a rapidly spinning neutron star, the collapsed core of the star that exploded. And this pulsar is spinning 30 times per second, emitting beams of radiation like a lighthouse. And it has been spinning this way since the supernova, slowing down gradually over centuries. The Crab Nebula is still glowing because the pulsar at its center is energizing the surrounding gas. And this glow will continue for thousands of years. And eventually the nebula will fade and disperse, and the pulsar will cool and slow, and the remnant of the supernova will become invisible, though it will still be there, drifting through space, a dark cloud of gas and a cold, dead star. You are breathing, and your breath is slower now, perhaps. Or perhaps it has not changed, and it does not matter, because your breath does not need to be anything other than what it is. Gemini contains a star called Nebulae, a variable star that changes brightness over a period of about 10 days, pulsing as it expands and contracts. And this pulsing is a sign that the star is unstable, nearing the end of its life, and it will likely explode as a supernova within the next few million years. Though quote 3 is not a time frame that creates any urgency. The light from Nebulae that you see tonight, if you were looking, left the star over 1,000 years ago, and during that 1,000 years, the light has been traveling through space, crossing the vast emptiness between stars, and it is arriving now. And if Nebulae has already exploded, if it became a supernova centuries ago, you would not know yet, because the light from that explosion has not reached Earth yet, is still traveling. And for now, Nebulae appears steady, pulsing gently, existing as it has appeared to exist for all of recorded history. Cancer is home to a star called 55 Cancri, a yellow dwarf star similar to our Sun, and this star has at least 5 planets orbiting it, a planetary system discovered through careful observation. And one of those planets, is a gas giant orbiting very close to the star, completing an orbit every 18 hours, a world of extreme heat and intense radiation. Nothing like Earth, and yet it is there, existing in its own environment, and the star and its planets continue their motions, indifferent to whether anyone is aware of them. Leo contains a bright galaxy called M65, a spiral galaxy tilted at an angle from our perspective, and it is about 35 million light years away, and the light you would see from this galaxy through a telescope left that galaxy 35 million years ago, when Earth was populated by very different life forms, and the light has been traveling all that time, crossing the space between galaxies, arriving now to be collected by a telescope, if anyone is looking, though the galaxy does not need to be looked at to continue existing. There are multiple galaxies near M65, a small group of galaxies called the Leo triplet, and they are gravitationally interacting with each other, slowly distorting each other's shapes. And eventually, over billions of years, they may merge into a single larger galaxy, though this process is so slow that it cannot be observed, only predicted through models and calculations. The stars within those galaxies are orbiting their respective galactic centers, and the galaxies themselves are moving through space, and everything is in motion. And yet, everything appears still because the motions are so vast and so slow that they cannot be perceived except through careful measurement over many years. You do not need to measure anything. You do not need to perceive motion. You are resting, and the universe is continuing, and both things are happening without requiring your attention. Virgo contains the Virgo cluster of galaxies, and this cluster contains over 1,300 galaxies, all held together by gravity, and the cluster is about 65 million light years away, and it is the nearest large cluster of galaxies to our own local group, and the light from these galaxies has been traveling for 65 million years, crossing the vast space between galaxy clusters, arriving now. The Virgo cluster is dominated by a giant elliptical galaxy called M87, and this galaxy contains trillions of stars, far more than our Milky Way. And at the center of M87 is a supermassive black hole, billions of times the mass of the Sun, and this black hole is actively feeding, consuming gas and dust, and the process of consumption releases enormous amounts of energy, creating jets of particles that shoot out from the black hole at nearly the speed of light, jets that extend for thousands of light years into space. These jets are not visible to the naked eye, barely visible even through powerful telescopes, but they are there, a sign of the immense forces at work at the center of the galaxy. Though from this distance from where you rest, the galaxy appears as a faint, fuzzy patch, peaceful, still. Libra contains a star called Gliese 581, a red dwarf star much smaller and cooler than our Sun, and this star has multiple planets orbiting it, and one of those planets, Gliese 581d, orbits within the habitable zone, the region where liquid water could theoretically exist on the surface, though whether the planet actually has water, whether it has an atmosphere, whether it has any conditions suitable for life, these things are not known, and the planet is simply there, orbiting its star 20 light years away, and the light from that star takes 20 years to reach Earth. So the light you would see from Gliese 581 tonight left that star. 20 years ago. Scorpius contains star-forming regions, vast clouds of gas and dust called dark nebulae because they block the light from stars behind them. And these clouds are cold, just a few degrees above absolute zero. And within these clouds, gravity is slowly pulling gas together, forming clumps. And some of those clumps will eventually become dense enough and hot enough to ignite nuclear fusion, becoming new stars. Though this process takes millions of years, and from moment to moment, nothing appears to change. One such region is called the Rho-Ophiuchi Cloud Complex, a colorful nebula near Aries, and it is one of the closest star-forming regions to Earth, about 460 light-years away. And within this cloud, dozens of new stars have formed in the past few million years, young stars still surrounded by the gas and dust from which they formed. And some of these stars are surrounded by disks of material, protoplanetary disks, from which planets may eventually form. Though this is a slow process, and there is no hurry, the stars in Scorpius are drifting, as all stars drift, and the constellation is slowly changing shape, the stars moving relative to each other, and in 50,000 years, Scorpius will look different. The pattern will have shifted, though the stars themselves will still be there, still shining, simply rearranged. Sagittarius contains the Lagoon Nebula, a vast cloud of gas and dust about 4,000 light-years away, and it is actively forming stars, dozens of hot, young stars that light up the surrounding gas, making it glow pink and red, and the nebula is enormous, over 100 light-years across, though from Earth it appears as a small, faint patch, and you need binoculars or a telescope to see it clearly. The Lagoon Nebula is called a emission nebula because the gas within it is emitting light, energized by the ultraviolet radiation from the young stars, and the gas is mostly hydrogen, and when hydrogen is energized, it glows red, and this glow is the signature color of star-forming regions throughout the galaxy. Within the Lagoon Nebula, there are structures called bulk globules, small, dark clouds of dense gas and dust, and these globules are collapsing under their own gravity, and some of them will become stars, and this process is happening now, slowly, over thousands of years. And there is no way to see the progress except through careful observation over decades, comparing images taken years apart. And even then, the changes are subtle. Sagittarius also contains the Trifid Nebula, another star-forming region, and the Trifid is divided into sections by dark lanes of dust, giving it a distinctive appearance. And it is smaller than the Lagoon Nebula, but still vast, dozens of light-years across. And it is also glowing, also forming stars, also continuing the cycle of stellar birth that has been happening in the galaxy for billions of years. The center of the Milky Way, toward which Sagittarius points, is a region of intense activity, though that activity is hidden by dust, and the stars there are densely packed, far more densely than in our region of the galaxy, and they are orbiting the supermassive black hole at the center, orbiting at tremendous speeds, though from this distance they appear still. Some of those stars are so close to the black hole that they complete an orbit in just a few years, and their motion has been tracked by astronomers, measured carefully, and the motion of those stars has confirmed the presence of the black hole, proven that something incredibly massive must be there, even though the black hole itself is invisible, not emitting light, simply existing, warping space around it. Capricornus contains a globular cluster, M30, and this cluster is about 28,000 light-years away, and it contains hundreds of thousands of stars, all very old, all metal-poor, and they are all orbiting the galactic center together, held together by their mutual gravity. And the cluster is slowly evaporating, stars occasionally escaping from the cluster's gravitational pull, drifting away into the galaxy. And this evaporation has been happening for billions of years, and it will continue for billions more, until eventually the cluster disperses completely, though that will take many billions of years. The stars in M30 are so close together at the cluster's core that they occasionally collide, or rather, they come close enough that their gravitational interaction causes them to exchange energy, and this interaction can eject stars from the cluster or cause stars to sink deeper into the core. And over time, the core becomes denser, and the outer regions become less dense, and the cluster evolves slowly, imperceptibly. You are resting, and your body is heavy, perhaps, or light, or you are not noticing your body at all, and any of these is fine, because there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to adjust. Aquarius contains another planetary nebula called NGC 7293, the Helix Nebula, and it is one of the closest planetary nebulae to Earth, about 650 light-years away, and it appears large in the sky, almost as large as the full moon, though it is very faint, and you need a telescope to see it clearly. And it looks like a giant eye, a ring of glowing gas, and at the center is a white dwarf, the remnant of the star that shed this gas. The white dwarf is extremely hot, about 120,000 degrees Celsius, far hotter than the surface of our sun, and it is slowly cooling, and as it cools, it will fade, and eventually, over billions of years, it will become a black dwarf, a cold, dark remnant. Though the universe is not old enough yet for any black dwarfs to exist, all white dwarfs are still glowing, still cooling. The gas in the Helix Nebula is expanding at about 30 kilometers per second, and this expansion has been happening for about 10,000 years, and it will continue for thousands more years. And eventually the gas will disperse into space, becoming too diffuse to see, and it will mix with the interstellar medium, the thin gas between stars, and it may eventually become part of a new cloud, a new star-forming region, continuing the cycle. Pisces contains a galaxy called NGC 488, a spiral galaxy about 90 million light-years away, and it is tightly wound, the spiral arms compressed, and it is rotating, the stars within it orbiting the galactic center. And this rotation has been happening for billions of years, and the galaxy is also moving through space, drifting as part of a larger structure called a galaxy group. Multiple galaxies held together by gravity, moving together through the universe. The stars in NGC 488 are not visible individually from Earth. The galaxy is too far away, and what you see if you look through a telescope is the combined light of billions of stars blurred together into a faint glow, a fuzzy patch. And this glow has been traveling for 90 million years, crossing the space between galaxies, arriving now. The zodiac signs are not physical structures, not real in the sense that galaxies are real. They are patterns, configurations of stars as seen from Earth, and from another planet, from another solar system. The sky would look completely different. The constellations would not exist, and new patterns would emerge, drawn by whatever minds happen to look up. The stars of Aries, for example, are not close to each other in space. They are scattered across hundreds of light years, some much closer to Earth than others. And they only appear to be grouped together because they happen to lie in roughly the same direction from our perspective. But if you could move to a different viewpoint, move a few light years away, the pattern would dissolve, and the stars would appear scattered randomly across the sky. This is true for all constellations. They are perspective dependent. They exist only from our viewpoint, and yet they have been meaningful. They have been used for navigation, for timekeeping, for storytelling, for thousands of years. And the patterns are there, even if they are not real in a physical sense. They are real as cultural artifacts, as tools, as ways of organizing the sky. You do not need to organize anything. You do not need to understand the sky. The sky is there, the stars are there, and you are here resting. And both things continue without requiring anything from each other. The light from the stars is ancient, always ancient, because the distances are so vast that light takes years to cross them. And when you see a star, you're seeing it as it was in the past, seeing light that left the star years ago, decades ago, centuries ago, depending on the star's distance. Polaris, the North Star, is about 430 light years away, and the light you see from Polaris tonight left that star 430 years ago, when humans were just beginning to explore the world with ships, when science was young, and the light has been traveling all that time. And it is arriving now, reaching your eyes if you were looking, though you do not need to look. Betelgeuse, a bright star in Orion, not